All right, Chris, thank you. And it is a beautiful summer night in Chicago, a perfect night for a ball game. It's hot, it's humid, and it's the Cubs and Cardinals, the two ancient rivals of the National League. However, there is no joy, not the kind of joy you would ordinarily associate. For the Cardinals, they're hurting. They lost one of their star players, Darryl Kile, yesterday, as you know by now. And the thought of playing tonight, well, nobody really wanted to play. However, they thought this would have been Darryl Kile's night to pitch, and he prided himself on never missing a start. And so they said, we've got to play this game. That's our job. Let's go play the game and make it a tribute to Darryl Kile. And that's where we come in. They decided to play the game, and so we're here to cover it on Sunday Night Baseball. And we'll do the best we can with it. The Cardinals and the Cubs about ready to play ball, beginning with a tribute here at Wrigley Field. Here's the voice of Wrigley Field, Paul Friedman.
Yesterday, the St. Louis Cardinals and Major League Baseball experienced the tragic loss of a very special person, pitcher Darryl Kile. Darryl made a difference in so many lives, as an example on the baseball field, as a compassionate member of the St. Louis community, and as a loving husband and father. His love and commitment to his family, friends, and teammates will be truly missed. At this time, we ask that you please join us in a moment of silence to remember St. Louis Cardinals pitcher number 57, Darryl Kile. Thank you. Now, please remain standing and join Wayne and Kathleen Messmer as we honor the United States of America with the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
The official Major League Baseball, signed by Commissioner Bud Selig, on the mound at Wrigley Field, awaiting the arrival of Kerry Wood and the Chicago Cubs. And here come the Cubs now, led by Sammy Sosa, as always. Temperatures in the 90s at Wrigley Field tonight with humidity. Baseball weather here in the Midwest. And Darryl Kile's jersey is being shown in honor of their fallen teammate in the Cardinals dugout. And here is the Nextel starting lineup for the Cardinals. Fernando Vina, second base. J.D. Drew in right field. Albert Pujols at third base. Jim Edmonds in center field. Tino Martinez at first. Edgar Renteria, the shortstop, hitting sixth. Kerry Robinson at left. Mike DeFelice, the catcher. And Jason Simon Tachi is the pitcher, batting ninth. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan, and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. And ordinarily, a baseball game, it's an escape. It's a 3-hour vacation. It's our joy, and certainly for most of you, your joy. But more somber conditions here tonight, which puts us at a little bit of a disadvantage. It's not our normal modus operandi. But Joe, nonetheless, the game is being played, so we're here to cover it.
Well, that's true. I think baseball and the Cardinals decided they wanted to play the game, and we have to respect that and go forward with it. I thought it was interesting just to start. We've seen a lot of things different today than normal. Sammy Sosa, instead of sprinting to the outfield, he told me before the game he would just trot out because he didn't want to draw any attention to himself or even to the Cubs, you know, over the Cardinals. And I think the one thing that's been prominent this weekend has been the fact that the Cardinals say the Cubs have been far more supportive than anyone could possibly be, that the Cubs have helped them to get through these trying times.
We talked with Tony La Russa before the game. As you see Kerry Wood's numbers, he's trying to snap a 3-game personal losing streak. He's been on a little bit of a slump lately, and you see he's awfully tough to hit. 87 and 2/3 innings pitched, only 63 hits allowed, but he also can be wild at times, so he's trying to put it back together here tonight. But Tony La Russa made a point, and we chatted with him before the game, to thank the Cubs for the many favors and the generosity that they had shown the Cardinals, starting, he said, with their willingness to call off yesterday's game, because he said the Cardinals just were, as you can understand, were devastated and just would not have been able to play that game. Strike one called to Fernando Vina. Vina is hitting .296, 1 home run and 32 runs driven in. And he's got a base hit into left center field. Moises Alou over to pick it up.
And that's what we're talking about, his location up on that particular pitch. And here you take a look at the Chicago Cubs defense. You mentioned the fact that Kerry Wood has struggled. He's going to have to get the ball down. His high fastball has to be a strikeout pitch, not a pitch that he's getting a strike with.
Here's J.D. Drew. And that is a called strike. They played the first game of this series on Friday afternoon, and it was a great pitchers duel. And a game that was won by the Cubs 2-1. John Lieber over Woody Williams. Both teams had only 3 hits in the game. Curveball, a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike to J.D. Drew. Drew hit a home run to center field for the only Cardinals run in that game. J.D. Drew hitting .271, 11 homers, 34 driven in. Vina at first, the leading base stealer for the Cardinals with 11. And the count goes to 2-1 now. There's John Lieber, who pitched a beauty on Friday for his 6th win of the year. A complete game 3-hitter. Didn't walk anybody. Just gave up that 1 run on the J.D. Drew homer. There goes Vina. And Drew lifts a high fly ball. Right center. Sammy Sosa. And that is out number 1.
Well, the Cardinals chose a perfect count to hit and run on. Vina had an excellent jump at first base as well. Good jump by Vina, and fastball up and out over the plate. He tried to pull it, but a good hit and run count. 1 speedy runner at bat, and 1 good speedy runner at first base.
Now Albert Pujols in his 2nd year in the big leagues after a huge rookie season, a .285 average, 15 homers, 48 driven in. And the fastball is too low. 1 ball and no strikes. The American flag high atop the center field scoreboard at Wrigley Field is being flown at half mast. And there will be no in-park pre-recorded music or organ music played either during the game or already even before the game. It was lacking. There will be no public address announcements except to introduce the players as they come to bat or for lineup changes. So these are a few of the things that are a little bit different at Wrigley Field tonight. And it is now 3-0 to Albert Pujols. And that is in there for a called strike. Well, Darryl Kile, as you see, Tony La Russa was never on the disabled list during his major league career. 216 starts since the beginning of the 1996 season. The only two pitchers in the majors who made more in that time were Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux, both of Atlanta. Pujols pops this one up. Shallow left center. Alou coming in, and so is Corey Patterson. That was going to be a problem for either Gonzalez, the shortstop, or Alou, the left fielder.
Well, Kerry Wood is living dangerously. He fell behind 2-1 to J.D. Drew, a good fastball hitter. Got him to fly out. He gets behind 3-1 to Albert Pujols. And the good thing here is that he gets the ball up, and Pujols can't catch up with it. But you can't throw a lot of good fastballs in fastball hitters counts, 2-1 and 3-1. He's going to have to try to get ahead of some of these hitters.
Now Jim Edmonds. Edmonds hitting .330, 13 homers, 37 driven in. And back to the bag at first is Vigny. Jim Edmonds, who has become a huge National League star, and he drives this one high in the air to deep left center field. Patterson at the wall and makes the catch right in front of the ivy. The wind blowing in from right field and toward left field as this one begins. So the Cardinals are retired, and now they will take the field without Darryl Kile. No score after a half inning from Wrigley Field. We will continue. Sunday night baseball from Chicago. The Cardinals nothing, and the Cubs are coming up now. And here's the next batting order for the Chicago Cubs. Corey Patterson is having a very strong year. Center field. Delino DeShields, the veteran, at second. Sammy Sosa, the Major League's home run leader, in right. Fred McGriff, who has really come on after a slow start, first base. Moises Alou in left. Alex Gonzalez, the former Blue Jay, at short. Bill Miller at third base, hitting seventh. Joe Girardi, the catcher, and Kerry Wood, the pitcher, bats ninth. Then on the mound for the Cardinals is the right-hander Jason Simontachi. That's the way he pronounces it. And he has been a real godsend for the Cardinals, as you can see by those numbers. He's done a great job. It's sort of coming out of nowhere, Joe.
Well, he has a good change-up, and he has to locate his fastball. But I mean, here's a guy that they didn't expect to have this kind of start, but he's off to a great start. But the question is, can he keep it up? And we'll find out.
So Simontachi, 28 years old, a 21st round draft choice of the Kansas City Royals 6 years ago. He's played for the Royals, Pirates, Twins, and now Cardinals organizations, in addition to spending time in the Frontier League, an independent league, and the Italian Professional League. He also pitched for the Italian Olympic team at the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney. 0-1 to Corey Patterson. And that's off the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Patterson hitting .286. Simontachi drew the attention of a Cardinals scout when he went 1-1 with a 1.17 ERA at the Olympic Games. High in the air, shallow center field. Edmonds and Patterson is out number 1.
there's the Cardinals defense behind Simon Tachi.
A lot of veterans on this team. And guys who seem like veterans. Guys like Albert Pujols, although he hadn't been around that long. Now Delino DeShields hitting 197 for the year. And that is ball one. Simon Tachi from the San Francisco Bay Area. Born in Mountain View, California. Lives in Santa Clara now. And that's a foul off to the left. The Cardinals went to a lot of other people before they went to him. At one time they had 5 different starting pitchers on the disabled list. As you see, Simon Tachi wearing a tribute to Darryl Kile, who wore number 57, as are all of the Cardinals in one form or another. And that is ball 2. Kyle's number on the cap there. Simon Tachi was the 11th starting pitcher tried by the Cardinals this year. Renteria throws out the Shields. So 2 men down. And now Sammy Sosa coming up. Sammy Sosa, 26 home runs, the most in Major League Baseball, and a .313 batting average. And one of the most remarkable things about Sammy's home runs this year is that 16 of them, more than half, have been hit to the opposite field. Over the outside corner for a called strike from Simon Tachi.
About 3 years ago, Sammy Sosa moved off the plate, and I think that has really been what has catapulted him into maybe one of the greatest, if not the greatest, home run hitters ever. He stands away from the plate and he goes into the ball. That keeps him from having to bail out on the inside pitch. Plus, it allows him, when the ball's away, to go the other way, as we've seen, and you mentioned, he's at 16 home runs the other way, and that's the reason. He used to be very close to the plate. But now everything is out away from him and out over the plate.
Well, he has hit 62% of his home runs to the opposite field so far this year. He had never hit more than 29% in any of his big home run years to the opposite field prior to this season. A change up there from Simon Tachi. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sammy with 476 career homers. At the exact same age, Hank Aaron, the home run king of all time, had 3 more home runs in his career than Sammy has right now. 2 down, nobody on. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Just a little bit low, and maybe a little bit outside. 2-2.
Well, this is one of the things. Again, he doesn't have to go out there off the plate. Before, if you're standing close to the plate, you're worried about the inside, you pull off a little bit, then you lose the outside corner. He doesn't lose the outside corner very often anymore.
We go out there again, almost the same spot. 3-2. Fred McGriff on deck. Right field, and that is a base hit.
That appeared to be a changeup that was hanging, or a rolling curveball. In any case, it doesn't do much. Let's see. Changeup, and it's out away from him, and it's up, and Sammy just kind of reaches out and pokes it to right field. You see it is a changeup, and he just pokes it to right field. Actually, I think he may have even broken his bat on it. But you see what he does? He doesn't try to pull the ball. Ball's out away from him. He goes the other way. He has become just a great hitter as well as a slugger.
Now Fred McGriff. Now Fred was off to a painfully slow start back in April. But now he's got right around the numbers you would expect for him to have this time of the year.
Well, the thing he's been able to do lately, John, is pick up the ones that Sosa leads, because they walk Sosa so much he doesn't get to hit in those situations. I mean, Sosa only has like 3 RBIs more than McGriff. Sosa has 49 RBIs with the 26 home runs.
That's off the glove. And it's a base hit for McGriff. Tino Martinez, who was holding against Sosa, opening up that hole. He made a dive for it, got the glove on it, but merely slowed it up.
Well, I mean, whenever you hold a runner on, a good hitter will try to take advantage of that hole on the right side and just try to pull it in the hole, and that's what McGriff does. He didn't have to pull it that close to the first baseman, but he hit it hard enough that it was off the glove of Tino. And it goes in the right field.
Yeah, but you know, that point you're making about Sammy getting walked a lot, it's not quite as pronounced as with Barry Bonds.
Right. But they're not picking them up like they have been. Yeah.
But now McGriff has had 78 at-bats with men in scoring position this year. Sosa has had only 49. Here is Alou. Bonds, coming into play today, I think had 29 at-bats with men in scoring position. Moises Alou. Now he has started hitting better than he was hitting earlier this year. He just had one injury after another starting in spring training. Still only 3 home runs. Waiting for it is J.D. Drew in right center. And just like that, the inning is over. A couple of 2-out hits for the Cubs, 2 left. No score at Wrigley Field. Tino Martinez coming up. At Wrigley Field, Chicago, the Cardinals and the Cubs renewing their rivalry. 111 years they've been going at it. And Wrigley Field, the friendly confines. And here is Tino Martinez, and he takes a called strike from Kerry Wood. It is 0-1. Tino, who got off to a very slow start with his new club, now up to 239 for a batting average, 8 homers, 35 driven in. Going into foul ground, Bill Miller, the third baseman, and he runs out of room. There's not much room in foul ground here. 0-2 the count. Tony La Russa, his 7th year as the manager of the Cardinals, and his 24th consecutive season as a major league manager, starting with the White Sox, then with Oakland, and now the Cardinals. The 4th longest streak of consecutive seasons for any major league manager. Connie Mack, John McGraw, Sparky Anderson, and then Tony La Russa. Sparky managed for 26 consecutive years, John McGraw 32, and Connie Mack, who owned the team for 50 years in a row. Strike 3 called with the breaking ball. We talked to Tony La Russa before the game and asked him about the Cardinals' decision to decide to play this game.
Probably the sentiment that carried today. Daryl had an unbelievable record, especially in today's baseball, where he's been a multi-year player with a lot of money for years, of never going on the DL, taking the ball every 5th day, took tremendous pride, and the coincidence, the significance that this is his day. So we're going to say to Darryl Kile, we're not going to play on the day that you would never miss. So, we said, we'll get through it.
Darryl Kile's number 57. Memorialized on the message board here at Wrigley Field. And Edgar Renteria lifts a fly ball into shallow right. Delano to Shields in front of Sammy Sosa. And that is out number 2. 2 men down, and here is Kerry Robinson now. No score in the game. Darryl Kile worked 2,165 innings in the majors without spending a day on the disabled list. And it's a strike to Kerry Robinson. last year at the tail end of the season. He was hurting, but kept on pitching. Pitched even in the playoffs and pitched well against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then when the season was over, he underwent surgery to repair a frayed labrum. And did in fact say that the whole idea for him, his only goal as a ball player, was to always be available to take the ball when his turn came around. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Kerry Robinson, hitting .247. Along the left field line, foul in the area of the Cubs bullpen. 1 ball, 2 strikes. We're going to be chatting very shortly with the general manager of the Cardinals, Walt Jocketty, also Mike Shannon, the former Cardinal player for many years, and for a long time a Cardinal broadcaster is also going to come by and chat with us. Did he swing? Yes. Now they're going to have to throw him out. Girardi got it. 3 up, 3 down. Kerry Wood with a couple of strikeouts. Alex Gonzalez will be coming up for the Cubs. No score.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Nextel. Nextel, how business gets done. And in part by Kinko's Network. On-site, off-site, and everything in between. Tap into the network. By Wendy's Super Value Menu, where you'll find super values every day. And by your neighborhood 7-Eleven store. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
At Wrigley Field in Chicago, the St. Louis Cardinals nothing and the Chicago Cubs nothing. Last of the 2nd inning, and we've been joined now by Walt Jocketty, the general manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's Alex Gonzalez, the new Cubs shortstop acquired from the Toronto Blue Jays in the offseason, standing in against Jason Simon-Tachi. And the changeup. It is 0-1. And Walt, between innings, you came in and said, hey, this is a real tough assignment, a tough night for Simon-Tachi. Tell us about that.
Well, it's a tough night for the ball club in general, but for a young rookie to come in and pitch a day that
one is going to go out onto the streets of Chicago. Waveland Avenue, a home run for Gonzalez, and it is 1-0 Cubs. Eighth home run of the year for Gonzalez.
This is a very difficult position to put a young pitcher in, and this is a good ball club, a good offensive club, and he battled to get through that 1st inning and got in trouble here right away to start the 2nd, or 3rd rather.
And it's a strike to Bill Miller. Second is right. Yeah. Well, I mean, from the time that you realize something horrible had happened, that Darryl Kile had died. I mean, this is not the world that we in baseball generally travel in.
It's been very difficult for our entire organization, and just trying to decide what is the right direction to go, what are the right decisions to make, how to handle the players, how to handle the families, and it's. I don't think it's really still is set in with a lot of us. It's just it's hard to imagine that such a great person as Darryl Kile, who was a great teammate, a great father, great husband, and just a friend to everybody, and I think the fans only saw half of the contribution that Darryl Kile gave to our organization. They saw the part that he did on the field, and they didn't see what he did behind the scenes. The help that he gave to an emerging star like Matt Morris and Rick Ankiel and to Jason Simon-Tachi and all the other pitchers that really have used his guidance to get better.
Strike 3 called to Bill Miller. And there is one away. There's Matt Morris, 22-game winner last year.
Walt, in a lot of cases, when people pass away, a lot of good things are said about them. But in this case, I think all of this is warranted. I knew Daryl very well. We go golfing together in the winter. And he is one of the truly good guys that we've all known in baseball. And, like I said, everything that has been said about him that has been good has been well-deserved because he was that type of person.
It's just it's hard to imagine that a young athlete at 33 is dead, and it's just it's very unfortunate, but it's something that as a team we're going to have to work through, and there's going to be many difficult moments throughout the year. This is certainly a big test tonight. These guys coming out, we've talked about it last night. We had a meeting last night with the families that were here. We met again today. We had a memorial service with the team today and the wives that were here. But I think we're just going to have to keep going forward, and it's going to be difficult. And the guys did decide to play, and because that's what Daryl would want.
Daryl's wife Flynn was in San Diego, as we understand.
Yes.
Did you talk with her?
Well, actually, Robin Veers, Dave Veers' wife, is very close to Flynn, and Robin was the one that wanted to tell Flynn about Daryl's passing, and then I talked to her shortly after that and assured her that we would do as the organization anything and everything we could to help her ease her through this. And the first thing we did to help with people in San Diego, Phil Nevin and his wife, I think were very helpful in getting her to the airport. We got a plane to get her out here last night, and she flew out with her father, and then Daryl's mother and one of his brothers flew in today. Actually, one of his brothers, Danny, was here with him over the weekend. So it's been difficult, and Flynn is holding up as best she can, obviously.
Kerry Wood, the hitter, 2 down. A run is in. The Cubs lead 1-0. Walt Jocketty, the general manager of the Cardinals, is with us. Walt, has there been a determination made by the medical examiner as to the cause of death?
Yeah, I believe the statement that was released today, and I haven't seen it, I just saw actually reported on ESPN here, was that there was 80 to 90% blockage of one of his coronary arteries, and that I think is what they determined as the cause of death. I mean, it was obvious that he had died in his sleep.
Any memorial service that has been scheduled or planned at this time that you can tell us about? Not
yet, John. I spoke to Flynn about it this morning, and I think there are some other things. Obviously, we're trying to take care of first. We're getting her back to St. Louis tonight, and so she can be with her children. And then I'll try and get with her tomorrow morning. But I think we'll probably set up a memorial service in St. Louis. I think that's where she felt that it should be, is to have a memorial service there for her.
Strike 3 to Kerry Wood, and the inning is over. Walt Jocketty, many thanks for stopping by, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
1-0. The Cubs are leading the Cardinals.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Nextel. Nextel, how business gets done. And in part by Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection.
And the view from high above Wrigley Field, courtesy of the Saturn Light Ship. The team at Saturn hopes you enjoy the view and the game. And we're glad to have them with us at Wrigley Field tonight. 1-0. The Cubs are leading the Cardinals. Cardinals coming up with Mike DeFelice, the catcher, and Jason Simon-Tachi, and Fernando Vina, the leadoff man. And DeFelice takes a called strike from Kerry Wood. Again, many thanks to Walt Jocketty stopping by to give us that information. And there's a called strike 2. 0-2 the count. The Phillies doing the catching. Had Kile been pitching tonight, Mike Matheny would have been the catcher, as the curveball is strike 3 called. One away. Scott Walker is here with us. He's been covering the story for SportsCenter and Baseball Tonight. Scott.
Well, John, thank you. And as Walt Jocketty said, there are no memorial services planned. So the memorials to Darryl Kile have been very simple. Well, much like this patch. Now, you'll see on the left sleeve of the St. Louis Cardinal players, the one on the right is a patch memorializing Jack Buck. Now, the equipment manager, Buddy Bates, keeps this ribbon around just in case. The problem is they never expected to use it on this road trip. John?
Thanks, Scott. Simon Tachi, the pitcher, takes ball 1 from Kerry Wood. Darryl Kile pitched on Tuesday night in St. Louis in an interleague game and was the winning pitcher in a game that put the Cardinals into first place ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, who had been the real surprise team in the first few weeks of this 2002 season. And it was that night that the longtime voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, Jack Buck, passed away. And they had the funeral for Jack Buck on Friday. There's the patch in tribute to Jack Buck. John Francis Buck, 47 years the voice of the Cardinals, and one of the greatest of the voices of the game.
Well, the Cardinals have lost 2 very, very good people, and not just good, but very good people. And Jack Buck. Jack was a guy that made everyone feel like they were Stan Musial. That's my thoughts on Jack Buck. I mean, he was, as a rookie, my first time I saw him, he talked to me and he made me feel like I was Stan Musial, even though he was a Cardinal announcer. And he made everyone feel special. And I think that was what Jack Buck was all about. He felt like everyone was special.
Simon Tachi gets a walk from Kerry Wood. And the leadoff man, Fernando Vina, will come up now. He singled his first time. So far, that has been the only hit for the Cardinals. Jack Buck. The distinctive voice and one of a kind. And synonymous with Cardinals baseball. That's a foul out of play, but I know of Placido Polanco, who had sort of a breakthrough year for him last year, hit over 300, and he said that Jack was an inspiration for him. He'd have a good game, and Jack would always tell him afterward, there's 3 games left in this series. Just 3 more games like that and you'll have a pretty good series. Caught by McGriff, and that is a double play. And the inning is over. Top of the order coming up for the Cubs, Patterson to Shields and Sammy Sosa. 1-0 Chicago. It's a hot, humid night in Chicago, and there's the downtown Chicago skyline. The great city of Chicago and the great baseball rivalry. These 2 teams have been playing each other in one form or another, or at least these 2 cities have been playing against each other in professional baseball since all the way back in 1875. 1876, they also had teams as charter members of the National League, which began that year. In 1892, these current franchises began having at it. The Cubs and the Cardinals in their 111th year. And of course, St. Louis not that far from Chicago, and as has become the custom over the years, especially when they play each other in the summertime on a weekend, there are a lot of people from St. Louis in that area, a lot of Cardinal fans who come up to root for the Cardinals here at Wrigley, and the same happens when they move down to St. Louis. A lot of Cubs fans come down. That's a base hit by Patterson. He's going to try for 2, and he makes it. Well, the one thing that Corey Patterson does well is
every once in a while he will bunt, so that brings the third baseman in, the first baseman and the third baseman in, and this ball is ripped past Tino Martinez because he's in. If he would have been back, see how he's in protecting against the bunt, and he doesn't have time to react to that ball. Had he been back, he would have been able to get over and properly make the catch. And Patterson is a speedster. He just turns. He knows he's got it covered, so he just goes into second easily.
J.D.'s throw came in and was cut off. J.D. Drew. Now Delino DeShields, and his job is to get him over to third base here. Sammy Sosa on deck. It's a pickoff throw, and it almost went into center field. A nice save there by Renteria.
A lot of times when you expect a bunt, you just try a pickoff just to try to keep the guy half a step closer to the bag. But in this case, Patterson hadn't even started off the bag. He had just taken one step away.
Cardinals pulled in at third base and first base as if expecting a bunt. DeShields bunts it. Simon Tachi is going to have to go to first, and he's going to have to hurry. And it is ruled it out.
I'm not sure about that, because what happened is he caught the ball, but you have to be reaching in for the ball. That's the way it's supposed to. The rule says you're supposed to be taking the ball out of your glove. And that's what the first base umpire said he was doing. Jim Reynolds said he was taking it out of his glove. It didn't appear to me he was taking it out. Let's take a look here. Well,
I mean, was he reaching in?
That's the point. He was bringing the glove to his other hand, but you're supposed to be reaching in, taking the ball out. See, the umpire said that he was reaching in with his right hand to grab it. And obviously, it's a judgment call.
Runner at third base. Sammy Sosa trying to bring him home now. The Cardinals at third base with Pujols and at first base with Martinez. Pulled in, but deep at shortstop and second base. Sammy Sosa, 26 home runs. He singled his first time tonight. And let's see if they even pitch to him at all here. Now, you've got a left-handed hitter who's been hot lately up next, but...
Yeah, but Sammy is just Sammy. I mean, when you look up and you see Sammy, it doesn't matter who's hitting behind you. As I said before about Barry Bonds, the only guy that can protect Barry Bonds is Barry Bonds. The only guy that can protect Sammy is Sammy. And you don't care who's on deck. You have to pitch to the hitter who's in the batter's box.
Well, he doesn't seem to be interested in pitching to Sammy.
No, he doesn't. And, well, you've seen this a lot with Barry. I mean, it's just a situation. We say, well, who's hitting behind you? Well, it really doesn't matter.
Barry Bonds has walked 89 times this year. Sammy Sosa walked 53 times. Make that 54.
And that was about as intentional as you can get without it being called an intentional walk. He was just hoping that Sammy would swing at something out of the strike zone.
Now McGriff will try and make Simon Tachi pay for that. McGriff singled his first time. Now, the way McGriff was hitting back in April, there wasn't much reason to pitch to Sammy. McGriff has been hitting much better lately as Tony La Russa goes out to the mound now to talk to Simon Tachi and his infielders. They're all gathering now for a conference at the mound with the manager, Tony La Russa.
Well, I don't think there's any chance that the Cubs would try a double steal in this situation. He may have the infield play, double play depth up the middle and bring the corners in so that if it's hit to one of the corners and it's not a one-hopper, they would go home.
All right, so Tony has had his say, and now McGriff will stand in. Now, there still is an open base, and ordinarily, the guy on deck is one of the great hitters in the game, Moises Alou, but not so far this year.
Well, I don't think that you can think past McGriff. You have to go after McGriff now. I'm trying to look, and they're just playing regular double play depth, even on the corners.
And the first baseman, Martinez, is playing behind Sammy Sosa. Changeup. 0-1 as he fouls it back to the bricks.
See, I think you have to go after this guy. You can't say, well, Moises Alou is on deck, that would load the bases and set up a double play. You have to go after him.
Apparently there's some sort of a fire nearby Wrigley Field, and we've got some smoke that is in fact a big fire not that far from Wrigley Field. And some of that smoke is now moving in over Wrigley Field as we watch the ball game here. That one just misses for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike to Fred McGriff. We're in the north side of Chicago, in the neighborhood that, because of this ballpark, the people call Wrigleyville. 1-1 to McGriff. He comes with a chance to open up a big lead here, or at least bigger. At the call, right on the corner at the knees. 1-2 the count.
Excellent pitch there by Simon Tachi.
That's what they call one of those borderline pitches. Could be called a strike, could be called a ball. Simon Tachi got the call. McGriff is a guy who stands way off the plate to begin with. Now time is taken. Corey Patterson led off the inning with a double. Sacrificed to third by DeShields, and Sosa was walked. Runners at first and third, 1 out. The Cubs are leading 1-0. There's Patterson and there's Sammy. Third and first respectively. In the dirt, and a nice save on that changeup by DeFelice.
Well, the one thing that Simon Tachi is showing the hitter is that he has the same arm speed on the changeup as he has on the fastball, and that's what makes a changeup successful. He has really good arm speed with his changeup, so it looks like a fastball when it comes out of his hand. Nice job there by DeFelice, as you said, to keep it in front of him. Well, they told McGriff they wanted to get him out with a changeup by throwing him the first pitch of this at bat, the changeup, and then he threw a few fastballs, and then he went back to the changeup.
2-2 the count to McGriff. And 3-2.
And I think that's also the reason that they did not have Tino Martinez hold Sammy Sosa on, because they were going to throw him something off speed, and he had more chance of pulling in the hole as he did the first time, and they wanted Martinez already off the bag. You see, he's not going to hold him on. He's actually going to move away before the pitch is thrown. That gives him a chance to cover the hole a little better.
Is Sammy going to run?
I would say yes, but I don't know.
He is running. And McGriff pops it off the fist, foul, and back out of play.
Just knowing Don Baylor as I do, I would say yes, but it could be one of those situations where he just wants to make sure that Moises Alou gets a chance to hit with runners on as well. But I think it's in your best interest to run him, especially since they're playing back. That keeps you out of the double play, and that will allow the runner from third to score. Now, if they're playing halfway, then I think it's a different story. You think about what you want to do. And with him being back, that ground ball, he would be able to score if Sammy could break up the double play at second.
Now time granted at home plate. Asked for by McGriff. Granted by Paul Schreiber, the plate umpire. Simon Tachi just went into a set position, and he held forever.
He went into the Sergio Garcia mode.
The U.S. Open started to break out there for a minute.
See, I'm going to always disagree with the fact that they allow a pitcher to do that. I mean, the rules say you're not supposed to try to deceive the runner. I don't know what you're trying to do if you're not trying to deceive the runner at first base. I mean, I don't know why that's a legal play.
Spoken like an old base stealer. Sammy Sosa runs, and McGriff whacks it into left field. Kerry Robinson's got it. Tagging up is Patterson from third, and he'll come in to score as Sosa goes back to first. McGriff with the RBI. 2-0 Cubs.
looked like it was a fastball up and away, and McGriff did a good job of going the other way with it. It is away, not necessarily up, but McGriff does a great job of just not trying to pull his pitch, just lines it hard to left field. But he hit it right at the left fielder, Kerry Robinson.
And not a bad pitch there by Simon Tachi. What do you think? I mean, right on the corner, according to the K-zone, as Alou pops it foul and back into the second deck off to the right.
But it was an excellent pitch, but that's the sign of a veteran hitter. A veteran hitter in that situation is making sure he puts the ball in play and trying to get it to the outfield. He's not trying to pull that ball. If he'd have tried to pull that, he probably would have hit a ground ball to second base. But that's, you know, a veteran hitter like McGriff. That's why he's driven in so many runs in his career. He knows what it takes to get an RBI in that situation, and that's what he does.
He got his 47th RBI of the year. There's two back of the club leader, Sammy Sosa. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Moises Alou. They are still waiting for Alou to join that trio of sluggers with his big production, which, I mean, last year he hit .331 for Houston with 108 RBIs, .355 the year before, and 114 batted in. In fact, his last 4 years, excluding the 1 year that he missed entirely because of injury, he's had over 100 RBIs all 4 years. Again, from up above, there's the fire several blocks away from Wrigley Field. There is a fire station just outside Wrigley Field, just behind the left field wall on Waveland Avenue. And speaking of which, deep into left center, headed for Waveland Avenue, and out onto the streets. Moises Alou with a tape measure shot, and it is 4-0 Cubs.
Moises Alou has one of the quickest bats on the inside pitch of anyone in the game, and I was surprised that they tried to get in on him. Even when he's not swinging well, you may waste the pitch inside, but they set up inside. See, this is supposed to be a fastball on the inside corner. It moves the hair back out over the plate, and you just can't do that. You can't take chances in there with Moises Alou.
Sinker chulo to Alex Gonzalez. He hit one out onto Waveland back in the second inning to put the Cubs ahead. Changeup, 1 ball, 1 strike. 4-0 Cubs now. Well, Moises Alou, I mean, he's the kind of hitter that might be the start of something big for him.
Well, he can definitely get hot and stay hot for a long period of time.
Well, he might, a week from now, he might have 10 home runs. He just hit his 4th of the year. It's been one of the most disappointing starts to any season in Moises' career. Being in the new ball club, high expectations. In front of J.D. Drew, it's a base hit for Gonzalez, his second hit.
Well, they're set up inside. You see the target, and it looks like he just misses the target by maybe 3 or 4 inches, but that's all it takes. We have a winner.
Bill Miller slapping it foul down the left field line. 0-1. Miller struck out his first time.
I talked to Don Baylor today about, you know, his offense, and he was saying he needed Bill Miller to start hitting the ball to left field a little bit more. He had not been doing that. He's been hitting a lot of fly balls and things out to right center, and they're being caught. And the one problem the Cubs have, if you look at their offense, if they haven't gotten much production from third base, shortstop, or second base, which puts a lot of pressure on the other hitters.
1-1 to Miller. Well, and when you also have Moises Alou,
right,
who's been struggling.
So their offense is, you know, really, it's been a tough thing for him to manage that way, knowing that he's not getting a lot from most of his positions where you expect a little bit of production.
Now breaking for second is Gonzalez, and he makes it.
That was difficult for Renteria to make the tag because he caught the ball on the shortstop side, and then he had to come around, and he didn't know exactly where the runner was going to be. Now watch where the throw is. If the throw is on the second base side, he's out. But watch this. He catches it. Now he has to look for him. And you can see clearly it hits him up on the wrist. Watch this. Right on the, actually on the forearm, not the wrist. But, I mean, it was clear that he was safe because he didn't know exactly where his hand was going to be.
2-1 to Miller. That's a wild pitch. And on the changeup, Miller over to Tino Martinez. And Simon Tachi gets the put out. But the Cubs get 3. 3 hits, 1 left. 4-0. Cubs as the Cardinals come up in the 4th with Drew, Pujols, and Edmonds. Moisés Alou. Adios, pelota.
Outperforms new Mobile One.
Promise you'll call me?
I will. I promise.
No matter where you go, I will be with you. If it takes a long time. Daddy!
A promise is a promise. Wherever you are, whatever you do, Allianz with its partners is the power beside you.
We have always felt that our trucks were tougher than anybody else's trucks. I've had people say to me, I own a Ford truck, and I have 120,000 miles on it, and it's still as good as the day I bought it. Ford trucks stand up to anything that you can do to them. Built Ford Tough isn't just a slogan. It's what we deliver. The people that buy Ford trucks say to us, I will only buy Ford trucks. I mean, I love hearing that.
So what do you think of Subway's sweet onion chicken teriyaki?
Low fat. Delicious chicken teriyaki topped with a sweet onion sauce. It's one of Subway's 2 new tastes.
This is good.
Hard to believe it's low fat.
Thank you, whoever you are.
You're welcome, whoever you are.
Subway, eat fresh!
Home Depot is driving down the cost of appliances. The great appliance event is on. Now through July 7th, get free delivery on refrigerators, washers, dryers, and more. Get special buys like this 24.9 cubic foot refrigerator freezer for only $7.99. Or this GE washer dryer set for only $4.98. We'll not only deliver your new appliance for free, we'll even pick up the old one. The great appliance event going on now at the Home Depot. Also available at Expo Design Center.
Twilight time at Wrigley Field, Chicago. And the Cubs are leading the Cardinals 4-0 as we go to the top of the 4th inning. And with us now, longtime broadcaster for the Cardinals, and before that, longtime player for the Cardinals, Mike Shannon. Mike, thanks for coming over.
My pleasure, John. Joe, nice to be with you, gentlemen.
Now, we know Walt Jocketty told us, Tony La Russa earlier, how tough it is for the Cardinals players playing this game tonight. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is a difficult one, but I can understand why Tony and the players made that decision is because of what he said. He said that, you know, Darryl Kile has never missed a start. I can remember this spring, he was hurting bad, but and I left him alone, which I usually do, till one day I walked by him and said, how you doing? He said, I won't miss anything, big boy. And he never did. I mean, that's the kind of guy he was, and I think that's exactly why they're playing this game. And this may be the biggest game in the history of the Cardinal manager here tonight. I really mean that, because you guys know Tony, and you know what kind of a competitor he is and what kind of a man he is, and he and Kyle were much alike, and this is going to be a large game in the career of Tony La Russa.
J.D. Drew with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pujols and Edmonds will follow. Well, I mean, Darryl Kile came to the Cardinals from Colorado, had 2 bad years pitching at Coors Field, and became really the anchor of the rotation as Drew is down on strikes. Gary Wood's 4th strikeout.
You mentioned that Kyle came, and the Cardinals have won every year that Kyle has been. And the Cardinal manager contributes much of that to Kyle because of his character and his example that he set with his teammates. And you have to pay attention to that.
And his great work ethic. That helped all the young players coming up.
Here's Pujols, and that's ball one. And you agree with that assessment from Tony La Russa?
There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's a big, big part. And there was a great quote. It was Daryl's quote. And he said, tough times don't last long. But he said, tough people do. And I think that has a lot to do with why they're playing.
Pujols in the deep center, but playable. And caught by Patterson. And that is out number 2. We talked to Tony La Russa about Darryl Kile's character when we had a chance to visit with Tony in the dugout before the game.
And the coaches, we always called Daryl John Wayne, and well, it's totally in keeping with Daryl that we play tonight. And I mean, I can't conceive of something being more difficult. All the years I've been around, it's the most difficult thing a team's had to go through, but you got to go through it. And we're tough enough.
Tough. That's tough. That's the word. That's the word that describes Kyle the best.
Jim Edmonds, and that's too low. 1 ball and no strikes. What do the Cardinals, what do they do now?
Well, that's what I asked Tony. I said, where, or how, and where do you get your strength? And he said, we're going to get it from Darryl Kile. That's exactly the question I asked him. We do a show every day, and I asked him, I said, Tony, how, where do you get the strength to go on? And he said, we're going to get it from Darryl Kile. He never missed a start, da-da-da-da. He just kept going, giving examples. And he said, and this was prior to him addressing his team today, and he said, when I go to address our team before batting practice, that's what I'm going to say to him. Listen, Darryl Kile never missed a start, and we're not going to miss this game. We're going to play this game in honor of him.
Now, it was an incredible shock, terrible tragedy, but just a few days before this, you lost your great partner of so many years, the Hall of Fame broadcaster Jack Buck.
And that's what's so stunning about all of this. It's bad enough to have the unbelievable news that we got when we learned about Daryl here in Chicago. But then coming right on the heels of all of the happenings in St. Louis and the outpouring of people in Jack's honor, and as Joe, and we all know Joe and his unbelievable family, the Buck family, with Jack, it was a celebration. They were celebrating in those 3 days, celebrating the life of Jack. But then we come up here and we're stunned and just knocked to our knees over the Kile death. It's something that is really going to call on the character and the reserve of this organization. And I have to say that with the leadership we have here, Mr. DeWitt, Yockety, and La Russa, they're tested, there's no doubt.
Alex Gonzalez throws out Tino Martinez, and that ends the inning. Mike Shannon, broadcaster of the Cardinals, longtime player with the Cardinals. Mike, many thanks for coming over.
Thank you, sir.
All the best. 4-0, the Cubs lead the Cardinals.
Bill Pito back in the studio. The Yankees and San Diego today. Bernie Williams in the 9th, 2-2 game. Bases loaded, 1 out. Grounds out, but in comes Enrique Wilson. Yanks now lead the AL East. They also have 47 wins, most in the majors.
All right, and the Yankees scored 5 runs in 3 games in San Diego and won 2 of the 3 games.
Well, they scored a lot of runs in Denver and won, so they did whatever they have to do. They're capable of doing it. I think that's what the Yankees are about right now.
They scored 41 runs in 3 games in Denver and won 2 out of 3. Joe Girardi, the former Yankee, now with the Cubs. We'll see the Yankees next Sunday, by the way, against the Mets from Yankee Stadium. And that's Drew making the catch. And there's one away. Of course, In the Cardinal dugout in the Cardinal clubhouse is their longtime trainer, Barry Weinberg. And Barry was in his first year as a Major League assistant trainer with the New York Yankees in 1979 when Thurman Munson, there's Barry, died tragically in a plane crash a day off. The Yankees played here in Chicago and before they opened a series with Baltimore at Yankee Stadium. He died in the crash as Perry Wood has grounded out. And the following Monday, they all went to the funeral, and that night they came back to New York. The team took the field, but home plate was left empty. And then Bobby Mercer, had earlier hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th inning, drove in what proved to be the winning run. And the first man out, the bushy-haired one there, was Barry Weinberg. And Barry said, hey, you know, as I told him we'd seen that tape, he said, you know, I don't do that even in a World Series scenario. I don't go out in the field. I'm not a player. But that night, as you see him, one of the first to hug Bobby Mercer, because Bobby Mercer was maybe the closest among all the Yankees at that time to Thurman Munson. And he had this huge game the night of the funeral. And Barry said it was just something that came out of it. And Barry said, I mean, losing Darryl Kile, as he said last night at the hotel, is Kile was one of the great men he'd ever met in all his years working in baseball with the Yankees, with Oakland, and now with the Cardinals. Corey Patterson with a base hit in the left field, so he has his second hit. One of the 5 young players that the Cubs have developed.
Don Baylor has been trying to get Patterson to hit the ball on the ground and to the other side to take advantage of his legs and get on base and steal a few bases for him, because again, they have not had a consistent offense other than Sammy Sosa.
Delano DeShields taking ball 1 from Simon Tachi.
Patterson stays behind the ball and just doesn't try to pull it, rips it to left field for a base hit.
Patterson has 14 steals this year, has been caught only 1 time. I mean, this would seem like if he can get the jump, Joe, this would seem to be an opportune time to steal.
Well, I agree in the fact that there are 2 outs, and if you can steal the base, so you know it's great. If you do not, then you have your second leadoff hitter, Delano DeShields, leading off the next inning.
Simon Tachi trying to keep him close. You see 14 steals in 15 steal attempts. 9th in the league in steals at the start of the day. Juan Pierre of Colorado and Luis Castillo of Florida were tied for the league lead at 24 when the day began. Corey Patterson, everything's just started to come together for him this year. The Cubs have developed one of the outstanding farm systems in the game. Changeup. Shields badly fooled on a 2-0 pitch.
Well, I think if you're 2-0, you're looking dead red, and you should be 2-0, but a good changeup by Simon Tachi. And you see DeShields had a fastball swing, then he realized it was a changeup, but it was too late.
I thought Delano was giving him that look. On the outside.
Well, that's what he does. He follows up with a good fastball on the outside corner. DeShields thinking, well, he may come with a changeup again. If he'll throw it 2-0, he'll throw it 2-1, but he did not. Good pitch selection there by Simon Tachi.
Patterson at first. 2 down. And too high. 3-2. So Patterson never did make an attempt to steal a bag. Now 3-2. He's talking to Sandy Alomar, the coach at first base.
This is a tough pitch to call if you're the catcher, you know, with Sammy Sosa on deck. I mean, the obvious pitch is a changeup, but with Sammy on deck, do you really want to risk walking Delino DeShields?
Patterson runs, and he threw him a fastball and still walked him. Which shouldn't happen.
No, the thing is, you have to throw the pitch that you feel like you can get in the strike zone simply because you have Sammy Sosa coming up next.
I mean, it's a little tougher now to pitch around Sammy. The runners at first and second. Sammy Sosa has singled and he has walked in this game. .315 average for the year. 26 homers, 49 runs batted in. Sammy, of course, has been putting up these huge RBI figures the last few years. 160 RBIs a couple of times.
Unbelievable.
But he's not been getting that many chances this year in these kind of spots. And he pops it up.
First pitch changeup.
Vigna called off by Edmonds. And that ends the inning. So he pitched around DeShields to get to Sammy. 4-0. The Cubs lead the Cardinals after 4. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel. Tonight from Wrigley Field, Chicago. 4-0. The Cubs over the Cardinals. And those views from high above Wrigley Field have been provided by the Saturn Light Shift. Saturn proud to be a part of ESPN's coverage of Sunday Night Baseball. We're always excited to have them with us. Cardinals coming up now in the 5th inning. Edgar Renteria, who has popped out in his only at bat. He takes one very high for ball 1. By the way, I just wanted to digress for a moment when Mike Shannon was with us and telling us about the double shock of losing the great broadcaster Jack Buck, and then the stunning death of Darryl Kile in his prime as a major league pitcher. And we certainly want to send along all of our thoughts, prayers, and best wishes to Joe Buck, the broadcaster of the Cardinals and the outstanding broadcaster on the Fox coverage of Major League Baseball. And he has remained the thorough professional through it all, through emotional times. And we just wanted to let him know we were thinking of him.
And the rest of the Buck family, of course, as well. But Joe is the one that we see the most.
Carrying on the family tradition of great work in the broadcast booth. Now Kerry Robinson. It's a tough play for Miller. Robinson just had too much speed. An infield hit for Kerry Robinson. Only the second hit of the game for the Cardinals against Kerry Wood. Vigna led off the game with a single, and they had not had a hit since. Just a couple of walks.
Now, when you see a guy like Kerry Robinson hit a ball like this, you just look up and say, that's a knock. I mean, that's a base hit all the way. There's not anything that Bill Miller can do. You see, it's not even close at first base.
Who's he think he is? Luis Castillo? Mike DeFelice off the glove of Girardi. Didn't know where it is. Finally gets back to it. Robinson with a big turnaround second. Did a hold there. That'll be scored as a pass ball on Girardi.
Well, I think they're going to talk because it looked like Girardi was expecting this ball to break. See how he doesn't reach up till late. So he definitely was crossed up. Either Kerry Wood misinterpreted his sign or something else went wrong because he put his glove up after the ball was past him. He was looking for it to break.
So DeFelice with a count of 1 ball and no strikes. The Cardinals get a runner to second base for the first time in this game. The pitcher's spot due up next, but Eduardo Perez has come out on deck with Mike Timlin warming up in the bullpen. DeFelice chased the high hard one. There's Timlin, number 50, out in the bullpen. Cardinal veteran. Heath Release catching tonight. Tony La Russa had a couple of players who came to him earlier today and said they didn't really think they'd be able to play tonight. And that curveball of beauty over the outside, strike two. Just, I guess, overcome with emotion. There's Eduardo Perez on deck. Properly identified visually. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Son of my ex-teammate, Tony Perez.
A Hall of Famer. But Tony La Russa said to the guys who thought they could play, they did not have to play. Mike Matheny, who always caught when Kyle pitched, was one of them. And Wood gets the put out after the recovery by McGriff. Robinson taking third.
Well, McGriff was trying to make sure he smothered the ball. He did knock it down. Then Kerry Wood's job is to get over there, and Kerry does a great job. You see he's hustling over, and he gets right out down the line. Once you come down the line, it makes it much easier for the first baseman to give the ball to you in stride.
So now the pinch hitter for Jason Simon-Tachi, Eduardo Perez.
Perez has had a lot of big hits. Well, 3, especially for this ball club this year. That's a couple of game-winning home runs.
I mean, he's only had 8 hits total, but 3 of them home runs. He's got a runner at third here. Kerry Robinson trying to get the Cardinals back into this game. They're trailing 4-0. Wood hangs a curveball too high.
I saw him in the lobby today, and I was talking to him, and I realized when I was standing there talking to him how much bigger he is than his father, Tony. And they called him the big dog.
And that's back out of play. I mean taller or just bigger all the way around?
Taller and bigger. He just looks much bigger than Tony.
I remember seeing him in Winter Haven, Florida in spring training when his dad played for the Boston Red Sox. I mean, he was just a little kid.
And Tony had 2 sons. One, Victor, also used to be in the clubhouse all the time, and Eduardo. And Eduardo, of course, made it to the major leagues. Victor lives in New York.
1-2 the count. Came right after him with a fastball, but he fouled it back to the screen. Eduardo Perez. Cardinals are down 4-0. Kerry Wood. I mean, Kerry Wood has got great stuff. That curveball caught by McGriff. Eduardo clobbered it, but McGriff was able to cover up. McGriff, then Moises Alou coming up, and the Cubs are leading the Cardinals 4-0.
Later on SportsCenter, Darryl Kile remembered by those who knew him best in a very emotional Sunday conversation. And how could death strike a pro athlete so quickly? Join Dan Patrick and me, Linda Cohn, for SportsCenter on ESPN following the game.
Cubs 4, Cardinals 0, going to the last of the 5th at Wrigley Field. Don't forget now tomorrow night on ESPN, the New York Mets and Mike Piazza up against the Atlanta Braves. Gary Sheffield, Chipper Jones and company from Turner Field, Atlanta, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. The start of quite a week for the Mets. 4 with Atlanta and then 3 with the Yankees next weekend. It begins tomorrow night right here on ESPN. The Mets and the Braves. Braves have been one of the hottest teams around lately. They have been on a roll. Fred McGriff, half swing, and Mike Timlin, the new pitcher, fields it. And just like that, McGriff is retired. Earlier he had singled and had hit a sacrifice fly. So he's now 1 for 2. Tony La Russa, one of 6 men who managed Darryl Kile in the major leagues. One of the others is also managing here tonight, Don Baylor. In the other dugout, managed Daryl when Daryl first went to the Colorado Rockies. Art Howe, now the Oakland manager, was his first big league manager in Houston. He also played for Terry Collins, Larry Dierker, and Jim Leland. And Alou into left center. Deep, but not deep enough, I don't believe. No? Right at the ivy, caught by Kerry Robinson. Moises launched one out onto Waveland Avenue his last time.
Well, at night, the ball doesn't carry as well. It's only 368 to that area, but the ball doesn't carry as well here at night as it does, you know, in the middle of the day. So that ball there, if it's hit in the afternoon, that ball's out of here.
So if this was ESPN Sunday afternoon baseball, he might have 2 homers right
Well,
now.
that ball's almost in the middle of the plate, too, and Moises knew he just barely missed it. But you can see the fans thinking that it might carry far enough, but it did not. He's checking his bat. Maybe that's why he may have hit it a little bit toward the label. Well, Don Baylor wanted to know if he hit that well, and he kind of shook his head.
Alex Gonzalez has hit a home run tonight. More down the left field line and back right out of Wrigley Field onto Waveland Avenue. He also singled his last time. Changeup from Timlin, and that is the strikeout. So a real quick inning, 5 pitches to retire the side for Timlin. We go to the 6th inning, top of the order. Vigna, Drew, and Pujols coming up.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Nextel, is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And by Wendy's Super Value Menu, where you'll find super values every day.
And the view from high above Wrigley Field, again, courtesy of Saturn, the entire Saturn Lightship team up there to bring you those dazzling views of Wrigley Field and Chicago. And we're certainly happy to have them with us. And, there she is, as seen from the field itself. Here is Fernando Vigna going well up out of the strike zone for strike 1 against Kerry Wood. Vigna has singled, and he is lined into a double play. J.D. Drew and then Albert Pujols to follow. Kerry Wood has allowed only 2 hits. And only 1 runner has been able to get past first base against him in the first 5 innings. And that's a strike. I mean, Wood is one of those guys who, when it all comes together, you'd think he'd be a guy who'd start winning 20 games pretty consistently.
Well, of course, health has been his biggest problem in attaining 20 wins. I mean, if he can just stay healthy.
Delano to Shields, and Vigna is retired, 1 away. And let's see, he's pitched 5 1/3 innings tonight, and for the year that means 93 innings pitched, only 65 hits allowed.
And that's really how you kind of grade pitchers, you know, their innings pitched to hits per inning and bases on balls, and see how many runners they actually put on base.
Now J.D. Drew. But it also tells you, Drew got hit. I mean, he does walk a lot, and he tends toward wildness.
Right. That's the problem.
It's the 9th batter he's hit with a pitch this year. But obviously, he is real tough to hit against. He gives up very few hits.
Well, the one thing that you can always get away with if you are a power pitcher and you can strike out a lot of hitters, if we see this ball catches J.D. Drew on the right leg. If you're a power pitcher and you strike out a lot of hitters, you can afford to put more men on base than, say, someone who does not strike out a lot. You can get yourself out of jams. You know, some of the power pitchers that pass, Nolan Ryan, Sandy Koufax, those types of guys, they might end up with the bases loaded, and then they just strike out the side. So if you are a strikeout pitcher, it allows you more margin for error as far as putting a lot of runners on base.
Well, he's got one on there right now. J.D. Drew at first, and here is Albert Pujols. He is flied out to shallow left center and flied out deep to center. 0 for 2. Look at the movement on that fastball. Call the ball. 1 ball and no strikes. By the way, the presentation of the game at Wrigley Field is a little bit different than normal. No in-park music, either with the ballpark organist or pre-recorded music. During the game, And even before the game, there was no music. And no public address announcements made except for players coming to bat or for lineup changes. American flag atop the scoreboard in center being flown at half-mast in tribute to Darryl Kile. Kyle's uniform number is being displayed on the center field scoreboard, number 57. Also outside Wrigley Field on the Wrigley Field marquee, with his name and number outside. The Cubs paying tribute to Darryl Kile, who died here in Chicago yesterday. That's a base hit to center field for Pujols.
I just love to watch him hit. I remember the first time I saw him, he struck out, but I said, this guy is aggressive, and he reminded me of Tony Perez because he was so aggressive through the strike zones. And he had such a fantastic year last year. But, I mean, watch, he just attacks the ball. That's an attack right there. He wasn't trying to do anything but hit this ball very hard. And a beautiful swing, level swing right back through the middle.
So the Cardinals have 2 men on base in the same inning for the first time. This is their best threat, and they got their big slugger, Jim Edmonds, at the plate with Drew at second and Pujols at first. 1 out. Strike on the outside. Edmonds didn't think so. Joe Girardi certainly did a good job making it look like a strike. Edmonds has driven one deep to left center, and he has walked. Came into the game hitting .330 for the year. Too low. 1 ball, 1 strike. We'd also like to give thanks to both the Cardinals and the Cubs organizations for the very professional way in which they've handled 2 very difficult days here in Chicago. That includes Andy McPhail, the Cubs president, and Sharon Canazzo, the Cubs public relations director, and her staff. Also Walt Jocketty, the Cardinals GM, and the Cardinals PR staff. There's Andy McPhail, Brian Bartow of the Cardinals PR staff, and Brad Hange. And also our thanks to Chuck Torres from Major League Baseball. Joe Girardi, who made the announcement to the crowd yesterday. I mean, it was a surreal setting. I mean, there were 40,000 plus people here on a beautiful hot day, ready for the Cubs and Cardinals, and then no game. And then finally Joe Girardi came out on the public address system on the field, flanked by his teammates who all came out with him, announced to the crowd that the game had been called off. And Lou goes back to the left field. He's got room, tagging up the runners, but they're just bluffing, and Lou throws all the way through the third base. So Wood retires Edmonds, 2 down.
Edmonds got a fastball. It was away, moving away. Good pitch by Wood on a 3-1 count. He didn't want to get it inside. And Lou, who has always had a strong arm, fires into third base. Left field here in Chicago is not that deep.
Jim Edmonds tonight before the game, talking about the Cardinals situation and the death of Darryl Kile, and he said that he wanted to thank Phil Nevin of the Padres and his wife on behalf of the whole Cardinal team for the way they helped Darryl Kile's wife Lynn, who was in San Diego. That's the inning. Tino Martinez flies out to left, 2 men stranded. Gary Wood's got a shutout through 6 and a 4-0 lead.
Joe Pito back in the studio. Ken Griffey hurt again. Already this year, a knee injury, then a hamstring injury. Just came back from that. And watch here as he goes towards second, re-injures that hamstring. Griffey said he hopes to only be out a couple of days, but who knows the way it's been going for him. Oakland beats the Reds today 5-1 the final.
All right, thanks, and we hate to see that. Ken Griffey Jr., one of our favorites. Cubs leading the Cardinals here 4-0 as we go to the last half of the 6th inning at Wrigley Field. Bill Miller leads off against Mike Timlin, the second Cardinals pitcher of the game. Miller has struck out and grounded out. He opened the year under the disabled list. A continuation of knee problems that he suffered last year, crashing into a scoreboard trying to make a catch and a pop-up. Base hit for Miller, the 8th of the game for the Chicago Cubs. And across the street behind right field, across Sheffield Avenue, you've got the rooftops, people watching what's going on over here at Wrigley Field, and that's the view if you were over there. Steve Angel, one of our crew, decided to invite himself to the party over there. Look at that. He's, as always, he's right there, the center of attention. A pitch out. Miller was not running.
Well, it's more of a pitch out to stop the hit and run. With Girardi at the plate, he likes to hit and run with him, meaning Don Baylor does. And that was to avoid, to try to get them to think that they're aware of it, and they may pitch out again.
Joe Girardi is struck out and lined out to right. A bit too far inside for Mike Timlin. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cardinals bullpen is busy as the Cubs bat here in the 6th inning. There is Mike Matthews, the left-hander, warming up on the right field line. Miller at first. Tino Martinez on the bag with it, and Miller is running. Timlin still goes to second and goes into center field. And Miller goes to third.
Well, a lot of people may say, well, he shouldn't have thrown the second base in the first place. I disagree with that. I think he just has to make an accurate throw, because if he misses Miller at second base, they would still be able to get Girardi at first base, and it's worth the chance. But he throws high to second base. Now watch, it's right back to him. One hopper, takes it. Now make a good throw, and you'll see that Miller would have been out had he made a good throw. See right there, Miller would have been out, and they probably would have gotten a double play had he made a good throw. So he made the right play, he just didn't execute it properly.
Now Kerry Wood, the pitcher, comes up. Tony La Russa coordinating how he wants the defense to set up. And they are moving in. Kerry Wood at the plate with Miller at third. Girardi at first, nobody out. Tino Martinez on the bag with his old Yankee teammate, Joe Girardi, at first base. The safety squeeze.
Well, it's really not squeezing.
Get the runner over to second base.
Exactly. They just wanted to stay out of the double play with Kerry Wood and move another runner into scoring position.
ESPN Game Track. Kerry Wood, 6 innings, only given up 3 hits. Santa, a lot of things working for him tonight, including the power. Alex Gonzalez launched one out into Waveland Avenue back in the 2nd inning. Then Moises Alou capped off a 3-run 3rd inning rally with a booming home run that also went out onto the streets, but in left center field. Quite a shot by Moises. Now the leadoff man, Corey Patterson, a left-handed hitter, is coming up with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Left-hander Mike Matthews has been brought in from the bullpen. 1 out, and the Cubs are leading 4-0. Stay with us. We're at Wrigley Field, Chicago. The look from across Sheffield Avenue back into Wrigley Field. And there's the new Cardinal pitcher, Mike Matthews, the left-hander, with runners at 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and the left-handed batting Corey Patterson coming up. You see Matthews' numbers for the year. You got the lefty Patterson and another lefty, DeShields, behind him. Cardinals have a right-hander up in their bullpen. Patterson hits that high breaking ball to center. Should be deep enough to get Miller home. The throw from Edmonds will go to third base. Miller scores. A sacrifice fly for Patterson that makes it 5-0 Cubs.
A good job by Patterson to make sure he got the ball into the outfield to drive in the run. Good job. So he gets congratulations from his teammates. Well, the hanging breaking ball didn't do very much, but Patterson does a good job of hitting that ball into the outfield, and that's exactly what he wanted to do.
Now, Delino DeShields, another left-handed hitter. The Cardinals have a right-hander up in their bullpen with Sammy Sosa due up next. It's just off the outside for Matthews. 1 ball and no strikes to DeShields, who's grounded out to short, had a sacrifice bunt and walked. Outfield kind of bunched up towards center against him. Slider low and outside. 2-0. In the bullpen is the right-hander Gene Steckschulte. And Sammy Sosa, the right-handed hitter, on deck.
Simon Tachi and Steckschulte.
Multisyllabic pitching staff.
A lot of vowels.
3-0 the count to DeShields. Those are what Bob Shepard, the voice of Yankee Stadium, likes to call euphonious names. Unlike my name or your name.
Unlike Joe, huh?
Joe Morgan.
Or John.
John Miller.
Yeah, easy. Those are, but you know, guess what? It's easy.
But now Joe Morgan, think of Giuseppe Morgantacci.
See?
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
It becomes euphonious. 3-1. He would have liked to have savored your name on the public address at Yankee Stadium had it been, say, Morgantacci.
I got you. John, while we have a quick point here, you're speaking of Cooperstown, you know, the Hall of Fame next month.
Yeah.
They have a Little League team up there, and it's coached by the president of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Dale Petrosky, and they're all watching tonight. And Dale and his son Frank are watching in. They say they learn a lot watching us on Sunday Night Baseball.
So, I mean, a Little League team that actually is based up there.
Yeah, a Pony League team. Pony League team based in Cooperstown. I mean, I don't think they're afraid of Sammy Sosa. They keep walking the guys in front of him.
Keeps pitching around to Shields to get to Sosa. And here comes La Russa. His team already down 5-0. He's got the right-hander Steckschulte up in the bullpen. Cardinals have a day off tomorrow. So really everybody's available. And he's got 7 men in that bullpen. So Steckschulte's coming in. Sosa coming up.
Later on SportsCenter, Darryl Kile remembered by those who knew him best in a very emotional Sunday conversation. And how could death strike a pro athlete so quickly? Join Dan Patrick and me, Linda Cohn, for SportsCenter on ESPN following the game.
Back at Wrigley Field, the night that Darryl Kile was scheduled to pitch for the St. Louis Cardinals before his tragic death yesterday. The Cardinals playing tonight in tribute to him, as Tony La Russa, their manager, said before the game, however. The toughest game, perhaps, for all of them. And Steckschulte on the pitch to Sammy Sosa. Throws one that DeFelice cannot catch. And the runners advance.
Well, he also has a place to put Sammy now.
With the left-handed batting, Fred McGriff up next. Sammy, we mentioned, had not had that many at-bats with men in scoring position this year. In fact, there are 111 hitters who have had more men on base in their at-bats, official at-bats, than Sosa has. 111. Steckschulte with a 1-1 count on Sosa.
And there you see one of the reasons that Sammy does not walk as much as Barry Bonds, because Sammy does chase some pitches sometimes, and that helps the pitcher out. So instead of the count being 2-0 and they not give in, they say, well, maybe I can get him out.
2-1 the count.
Sammy doesn't bite there, but that's one of the reasons. Sammy is a little more of a free swinger than Barry Bonds is. And it actually works in Sammy's favor. They'll get 2 strikes on him, and he'll have them right where he wants them.
Slider too low. 3-1. Fred McGriff has been swinging a very hot bat lately. He's on deck. There's Girardi at third base. DeShields at second. First base is open. It's a 3-ball, 1-strike count. Ball strike 2.
I don't know exactly what this pitch is. Let me take a look. Little slide piece on the inside corner. Started way off the plate inside.
And according to Cage, on a good call by the umpire, Paul Schreiber. Fastball. Renteria in the dirt, and Tino can't hold it. Girardi has scored. DeShields to third. 6-0 Cubs.
Interesting to see how they score this. A very difficult play for Renteria. He threw it from the second base side of the diamond, and he knows that Sammy runs well, so he had to get rid of it quickly. We'll see how they scored. A high chopper. Now watch where he ends up throwing this ball from. The second base side of the diamond. And he would have had him had he made the throw up, but he had to get rid of it quickly.
You're going to score it as an error.
And that's a tough error, but I can understand why they called it an error.
Here's McGriff. Ball 1.
It's a high chopper, so he has to wait for it. Now watch where he throws the ball from. He's over near the bag on the other side, and he's throwing off balance, running toward right field. So it's not an easy throw.
McGriff rips one into right field for a base hit. DeShields in to score. Sosa stopping at second. And the Cubs have scored 3 times in the inning. A couple of errors for the Cardinals in the inning. And it is now 7-0 Cubs. It's starting to fall apart for the Cardinals in this one.
Fastball about knee high and over the outside corner. And McGriff, I mean, hits a bullet to right field. That tells you he's really swinging the bat well now. If he can handle that pitch as well as he has tonight. He handled it once going to left field with a line drive, and he hits this one to right field. I'm going to go back to that play on Sammy Sosa. I actually think that should have been scored a base hit, and especially in your home field and with the guy off balance making the throw, because if he takes his time to throw it, Sammy's going to beat it out. So I think that should have been a base hit with an RBI to Sammy Sosa.
Moises Alou, the hitter, has flied out, hit a 2-run homer, and flied out deep to left center, 1 for 3. So you're advocating that the official score should be slanted toward the home team.
No, but you are at home, and it does happen when you're on the road, you get penalized. And so I'm advocating that if it's a close play or close situation, then the home team should get the benefit of the doubt.
Well, in fact, the rule book says give the benefit of the doubt to the hitter.
And if it can't be made with routine effort. And that was not routine effort. I mean, he had to make a tough throw running away toward right field from first base and where he was throwing.
Well, you have some pull here at Wrigley Field. I've seen you get calls changed at Wrigley Field.
Yeah, but I'm not. It's not in this. Not today. But I do think it should have been scored a base hit.
I remember one night we were here on Sunday Night Baseball. Andre Dawson hit a base hit to center against the Mets. Rounded first and kind of deked the center fielder into throwing to first base to try and nail him. And when the throw went to first, he went to second. And they gave him a single. And you said, no, that's a double.
Well, it was a double.
And we looked it up in the rule book, and darned if you weren't right. And the official scorer changed the call.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are a lot. Look, official scoring is difficult to do. It's not easy. There's no doubt about that.
I think that on a Sunday night game, you should be made the official scorer. And then whatever you decide is it that night.
I'll go for that.
And then if there's a controversial call, not that I would ever second guess you.
Yeah, but we'll get another opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Like the whole country might second guess you.
All right.
Ball, 1 strike, the count to Alex Gonzalez. He's the 9th hitter of the inning. Luther Hackman up in the bullpen. All the runs in this inning are unearned runs. It really started in a big way on the throwing error by Mike Timlin. So far, an error charge to Renteria. 2-1 the count to Gonzalez. He's had a homer and a single tonight, and he's got another base hit. His 3rd hit of the game. Sosa comes in to score. McGriff to 3rd. Alou to 2nd. 4 runs are in, and it is 8-0.
Breaking ball that just kind of hangs in the middle of the plate. And Gonzalez rips it to left field. We've seen an awful lot of hanging pitches tonight. And they've been hit hard.
Bill Miller led off the inning with a single. He's the 10th batter of the inning. 2 down, 3 men on, 4 runs in. Sammy Sosa, by the way, has scored 2 runs tonight and has scored 59 runs this year. For a team that doesn't score that many runs. Nice play by Vigna. Beautiful. But the heavy damage has already been done. It is 8-0 Cubs.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is presented by Nextel. Nextel, how business gets done. And in part by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And by Pennzoil, we're driving protection.
There is no in-park pre-recorded or organ music being played at Wrigley Field tonight in tribute to Darryl Kile, and of course our Sunday night telecast has followed suit without any of our theme music as we try to follow what has been established here at Wrigley Field tonight. Darryl Kile's road jerseys being displayed in the St. Louis Cardinals dugout tonight, and our heart goes out to all of the Cardinal players. As Tony La Russa said before the game, this has got to be one of the, maybe without question, the toughest night any of them has ever had to face as a group. Not just as individuals, but as a group.
John, I knew Darryl Kile well, and I tell you what kind of person he was. You know, he played for the Astros, and John McMullen, the owner of the Astros, would take a lot of us away to play golf in great places. Craig Biggio, Bagwell, Enos Cabell, Yogi Berra, and Alan Ashby. All of us would go to places like Lake Nona, Pine Valley to play golf every year. We'd spend 5 days together. And when Darryl Kile left as a free agent to go to Colorado, you know, a lot of other owners and teammates would have been upset. But guess what? They continued to invite Darryl to our outings because we all wanted him there. I mean, that's the kind of guy that he was. Everybody loved Darryl Kile. And as I said earlier, you know, a lot of times we say things about people after they pass away, how good a person they are and things like that. But everything we've said and you've heard about Darryl Kile is warranted. I mean, he was an exceptional individual.
Don Baylor said that he used to have to argue with Kile. Kile would have an outing where he'd throw 130 pitches, and then Baylor would have to force him to take some rest afterwards. Alex Gonzalez throws out Edgar Renteria, and there's one away. He started his career in Houston, did Darryl Kile, and last night in Houston at the Astros ballpark, they paid tribute to their former teammate and put his old jersey on display as a tribute in their dugout.
And to my understanding, Craig Biggio and Bagwell did not play in the game. You know, they were all very close to Darryl. They pinch hit later in the ball game, but they did not start the game.
Bagwell in the 12th inning ended up coming off the bench and driving in the winning run. And that's a foul out of play off to the left. 0-2 the count to Kerry Robinson, who has struck out and singled against Kerry Wood. Kerry Wood has a 3-hit shutout going here in the 7th and an 8-0 lead.
We were playing one day at Lake Nona. Me and Daryl and Enos Cabell and Alan Ashby were in the foursome. And one of the holes was, you know, kind of dogleg right, and to go over the top and cut it off looked like a skyscraper to me, but Darryl Kile was the only one who could just take it right over that tree every time and cut down the hole. I mean, he was a good golfer as well as a good pitcher, and he enjoyed playing golf a lot.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Kerry Robinson. Well, Darryl Kile was not one of those guys as a kid that everybody knew would end up being a big league star. He was skinny, and as he himself sometimes said, he was not that well coordinated. He was not sought after by major college programs to play baseball for them. In fact, he went to Chaffee Junior College in California, and it was a 30th round draft choice out of Chaffee Junior College, only after he grew several inches in 1 year period and started throwing a little bit harder than he used to. And the Astros took a shot at him in the 30th round. That one is cracked into right field for Robinson, his second hit. Now let's go to Scott Walker. Scott?
Well, John, thank you. This is a Cubs-Cardinals series, one of the biggest rivalries. We want to talk to some of the fans and get an idea of the sense of it here. John McGuire's here. He's a season ticket holder for the Cardinals since '88. You were here on Friday. You're here today. What is the sense, the difference in the tone of this game after the Kile death?
Well, the Cardinals and Cubs normally is a very heated rivalry. Cardinal fans booing the Cubs, Cub fans booing the Cardinals, I don't sense that here. It's like the Cubs fans are rooting for their Cubs, but they're not against the Cardinals, and vice versa. People have, this is definitely a more somber mood here tonight. There's no doubt about it.
Very good, John. Thank you. John, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Scott. 7th inning stretch time here in Chicago. And we're going to stay here. Ordinarily, somebody would lead the fans in singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," but tonight, just the organist.
Later on SportsCenter, Darryl Kile remembered by those who knew him best in a very emotional Sunday conversation. And how could death strike a pro athlete so quickly? Join Dan Patrick and me, Linda Cohn, for SportsCenter on ESPN following the game.
Wrigley Field, Chicago. The Cubs are leading the Cardinals 8-0 as we go to the last of the 7th inning. And Joe Girardi will lead off here for the Cubs against Luther Hackman. The new batteries in there for the Cardinals. Hackman, the new pitcher. You see his numbers for the year. More walks than strikeouts. That kind of jumps out at you. The new catcher is also in, Eli Marrero. Marrero hitting in the 9th spot. Hackman in the 8th spot. Marrero would lead off in the 8th inning. Back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Girardi is 0 for 3 in the game. There's Marrero. Joe, you were talking about Jeff Bagwell. Jeff Bagwell broke into the big leagues back in 1991 with the Astros, along with Luis Gonzalez, who is now with Arizona, and Darryl Kile. The 3 of them were rookies together that year under Art Howe, now the Oakland manager. And Kile had often over the years talked about what a blessing it was to break in with a guy like Jeff Bagwell, who had such an amazing work ethic, who was an outstanding player, He just kind of followed Jeff Bagwell's lead and said, that's the way you must do it here in the big leagues. 2-2 the count. Craig Biggio was also the guy who preceded them by a little bit there. But, you know, I mean, the way it was in Houston, Biggio and Bagwell have always set the tone for that franchise. And Darryl Kile followed suit, especially for the young pitchers with the Cardinals. And strike 3, Girardi is retired. Craig Biggio, after the game in Houston yesterday, made some comments about it, about Darryl Kile.
I got a lot of good memories of DK. You know, DK is awesome. I mean, guys don't have enough tape to run for DK. You know, the man had 4 wins here one year, and you know, you would never know it by the way that he handled himself, the way he talked, and you know, he's gonna be missed.
Kerry Wood fouling one out of play.
It's kind of similar to what Don Baylor told me before the game. You know, if he was struggling, you never knew it. I mean, he would just go out and perform. You would think he was, every time he took the mound, he was working on a shutout, or he was 8-0, but he said he didn't change. His personality didn't change with wins and losses. And Don thinks that, you know, that he had some adversity in Colorado, but he thinks that helped make him a really fine pitcher. He said he learned more about pitching in Colorado because he didn't have his great stuff.
Gary Wood drives one deep into center. Edmonds is racing back and makes the basket catch just before hitting the ivy. And he was not very deep to begin with. Had a long run to catch up with that one.
Well, this ball is hit pretty high, but you can see Edmonds going back. Now he slows up and makes a basket catch.
So 2 men are gone, and here is Corey Patterson. Something I like about Edmonds,
he puts a little flair into it.
Like Willie Mays did. I mean, he made the Willie Mays basket catch here. I mean, Willie Mays had a little showman in it. Edgar Renteria makes the catch. Patterson is gone on 1 pitch. Now we're going to the 8th inning. Marrero, Vina, and Drew due up. 8-0. The Cubs lead the Cardinals. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel. Cubs 8, Cardinals nothing as we move to the top of the 8th inning. We're at Wrigley Field. And Kerry Wood carries a shutout here into the 8th inning. Wood has had 1 shutout this year. I mean, a shutout is not that unusual for Kerry Wood. And it is 0-1. Eli Marrero chasing that one. New first baseman of the game for the Cubs, Mark Bellhorn, gives Fred McGriff the rest of the night off. Cubs will have Sammy Sosa up second when they come up in the last half of this inning. Girardi in foul ground. Marrero is out number 1. Darryl Kile, in addition to his current Cardinals teammates, there are 56 active major leaguers with other teams who were once his teammates. And there was a lot of reaction from people who knew him as a teammate from around baseball yesterday. We heard from Craig Biggio. We know the grief that apparently overcame Jeff Bagwell yesterday. Pedro Estacio, who was his running mate as a starting pitcher in Colorado. They were the 2 top starters for the Rockies. Estacio had to start a game yesterday for the Mets. And Bobby Valentine told him if you don't think you can make it, you just let me know. And we'll have somebody else pitch. Anastasio went out there, and part of it had to do with Darryl Kile's example. Always there, always available to make the start. Sean Dunston, who was a Cardinal as of just a couple of years ago, was in the original starting lineup for the Giants yesterday. Sitting in the Giants clubhouse at Pacific Bell Park with the Cubs-Cardinal game coming on television. Maybe 45 minutes before the Giants game started when he heard Joe Buck come on and make the stunning announcement that Darryl Kile had died. And Dusty Baker went to Sean and told him, he said, listen, if you can't make it, we'll certainly understand. Ball 4 to Fernando Vena. Joe Girardi yesterday is the man who announced to the crowd that there would be no game. We talked to Joe before today's game.
I don't know how you handle it because I'm having a hard time, and I didn't even really know Daryl except from playing against him. I think the hard thing for me is you think that you have a couple of kids at home too, and how do you tell them that? I don't know. How do you tell the kids that Daddy's not going home?
Center field, Sammy Sosa makes the catch of a long fly ball hit by J.D. Drew. Out number 2. Darryl Kile has 3 children. Twins, a son, Cannon, and a daughter, Sierra, born in 1997, now 5 years old, and a son, Riker, who was born just last August. 10 months old. Now Albert Pujols. Cubs bullpen for the first time tonight gets busy. There's Kyle Farnsworth, a hard-throwing right-hander. Pujols hits one a mile and high into the bleachers. Wow. He can hit. That ends the shutout rather emphatically. A spectacular home run by Albert Pujols. 8-2 the score for the Cubs.
And he actually does this with basically with his upper body. This is not one of those power drives. He just uses quickness up at the top and, hits a bullet. Watch this, just his upper body there. Look at this. Just quick with his upper body, and as soon as he hits it, he knows where it's going.
That was not one of those soaring kind of drives. It was just a bullet.
The outfielders didn't even move, John.
'16th home run of the year for Pujols. His second hit of the game. He only had 5 hits altogether. And Jim Edmonds taking ball 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jim Edmonds is flying out deep to left center. Walk and flying out deep to left. Patterson going back into center field. Another deep fly ball for Edmonds, but they've all stayed in the ballpark tonight. Albert Pujols with a long home run. And he watched it go. He knew where it was going, as Joe said. Then when he got to the plate, pointed to the sky and went into the dugout, paid his respects to Darryl Kile. Cubs 8, Cardinals 2, last of the 8th from Chicago. Now, for the first time, the All-Star teams will be announced live as ESPN will present the Major League Baseball All-Star Selection Show this coming Sunday. That's 1 week from tonight at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And the Major League Baseball All-Star Selection Show will be followed by the Mets and the Yankees from Yankee Stadium. Luther Hackman delivering a strike to Delino DeShields. One of the things that's gone wrong for the Cardinals in this game is the fact that they've walked the Shields twice in front of Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, that does not make for good defense. Putting the Shields on who can run, and then also having to pitch to Sammy, and they've chosen a couple of times to pitch around him, so to speak.
And Vigna throws out the Shields. One away. Cubs bullpen is busy. Kerry Wood having pitched 8 strong innings. It is a windless night here at Wrigley Field. At the beginning of the game, there was some wind blowing in off the lake from right field out toward left field. But for most of the night, there'd been no wind at all. Albert Pujols, a home run for the Cardinals. Alex Gonzalez and Moises Alou have gone deep for the Cubs, but not Sammy Sosa. Not tonight, and never on the 23rd of June in his career. Now, see, that's, Marty Aronoff. He finds stuff like that for us.
The Marty?
He has homered on every date in the calendar for the months of May and June, except on June the 23rd. And that bugs Marty, because Marty he doesn't like loose ends. 2-0. Luther Ackman, who came to the Cardinals in the trade that also brought, as you see, Alfonseca up in the Cubs bullpen. Ackman came from Colorado in the deal that brought Darryl Kile to the Cardinals. Ackman, Darryl Kile, and Dave Veers all came over in that trade. DK, and he's also written in 57, Kyle's number, under the bill of his cap. Sosa is thrown out by Pujols. Sosa tonight is 1 for 4 with a walk.
I saw a quote from Alex Rodriguez, who likes Sammy Sosa. He said, slowly but surely, Sammy is trying to distinguish himself as maybe being the greatest home run hitter ever. I mean, no one else has hit 60 as many times. I mean, he's just been getting better and better each year.
The better he gets as an all-round hitter, the more home runs he has.
Exactly, which is unusual. Usually you'll cut down on your swing a little bit, which will cost you some home runs. But as you mentioned, the reason for that happening is that he hits a lot of home runs to right field.
Mark Bellhorn up for the first time tonight, and Kerry Robinson takes it. Cubs go down in order, and now we head to the 9th inning from Wrigley Field. Tino Martinez coming up, 8-2 Chicago.
Dan Patrick and Linda Cohn here. Sports Center coming up after the game. Plenty more reaction on the death of Darryl Kile.
Yes, we'll also have our usual regulars. Chris Berman will stop by with his plays of the week. Let's go back to the game. John.
Thanks, Dan and Linda. And this is ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Nextel. From Wrigley Field, Chicago. 8 runs, 10 hits for the Cubs, 2 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors for the Cardinals. 37,647, the official paid crowd at Wrigley. Antonio Alfonseca, the closer for the Cubs, comes in now. And this is more of a get some work appearance for Alfonseca. He's had 10 saves for the year. 32 innings pitched, only 1 home run allowed. And earlier there was pitching coach Larry Rothschild telling Kerry Wood that he could have the rest of the night off. 8 innings pitched, 2 runs, 5 hits allowed, only 1 walk, which is maybe the most significant number in there, because Wood averages about 5 walks for every 9 innings. Tino Martinez 0 for 3 in the game. Darren Lewis is also in the game now. Sammy Sosa retires. Darren Lewis in right field with Alfonseca now on the mound. It's D-Lou, and the Dusty Baker, the San Francisco manager, named his young son after. Oh, and 2 the count. And he struck him out. SportsCenter follows the game. Stay tuned for Dan Patrick and Linda Cohn. More on Darryl Kile on SportsCenter. Chris Berman will have the plays of the week and the future for Michael Jordan. Here is Edgar Renteria. He's 0 for 3. Did you see the article, Joe, in Harper's Magazine by Rich Cohen? I love this article because he made the case that the great star players should not retire and go out on top. They should play until they just can't play anymore.
What are you asking me?
I'm asking you if you
agree. No, I don't agree.
I'm asking if you saw the article.
I disagree. I didn't see the article. I don't read Harper's, but I mean, I did not see the article, but I do not agree. No, I do not agree. I mean, we always want to have fond memories of our heroes. You know?
But that's us. What about for the hero himself?
Well, you weren't talking about the hero. You were asking about...
But Michael Jordan came back after he retired, right?
Yeah.
So maybe he should not have retired when he did.
Well, I think he should have when he did. I think he wanted to at that point. But then I think he realized that afterwards that he wanted to play again.
But maybe he was paying too much attention to all those voices about his legacy. And then he walked away thinking, you know, I walked away too soon.
Well, I mean, that could be. I don't think that's the case, but it could be. But I disagree. I don't think that I don't think legends should play until they drop.
But I don't mean until, you know, they're out there and they can't do anything anymore. But I mean, I think the idea that they should go out so that we have those memories of him. Hey, Willie Mays, I still have great memories about how great he was.
Correct.
That one is just fouled by Renteria. Renteria is not so sure.
Well, he thought that the umpire at third base, Matt Hollowell, was trying to mark Hirschback's at third base. I got it wrong. Hollowell was at second. He thought he was busy getting out of the way instead of looking to see where the ball was. And see, look, now he makes the call. Well, he says foul. Okay. Okay, Mark, you got it right, I guess. Although Renteria would disagree with you.
3-2 to Edgar. Tony La Russa might disagree with him as well.
Back to this thought of playing. I mean, I guess the point is, when do you stop? When should Michael Jordan stop? When should Wayne Gretzky stop? When should, you know, Willie Mays stop? I think it's always up to the player. But I'm just speaking that I don't think they should play until they, you know, are not having fun anymore.
I just enjoyed the article because it seems to be sort of more popular to just always be the one who comes out and says, please don't play and, you know, give me a final picture of you not being that good. He's taking the other side, and nobody takes that side.
No, that's probably why he took it. He figured you'd bring it up tonight and ask me about it. That's why he wrote that article, I guess. No, I mean, I understand his point.
He was thinking of Sunday Night Baseball when he wrote the article.
Exactly.
That could well be the case. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Jerry Robinson, the hitter. There's something that he did not write that I want to pass along to you now.
Okay.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Still time to vote for your all-star favorites. Log on to MLB.com or RadioShack.com and vote now. The All-Star game coming up July the 9th from Milwaukee.
I thought you had enough pull to have the commissioner record that for us by now. Have him record it, and then you can just have him say it.
Hey, the only pull I ever have anywhere at any time is to say, I'm the guy who works with Joe Morgan.
Yeah, right.
And that's ball 4 for Kerry Robinson. The career goes over to second. And now pinch hitter's going to come up. Miguel Cairo will bat for Luther Hackman. SportsCenter right after the game. Stay tuned.
Maybe we'll tune in to Sports Center to see if what they say about Michael's future.
Yeah. Well, a sad night for the St. Louis Cardinals, who will be heading home. As Walt Jocketty, the general manager of the Cardinals, told us tonight. When it's back to Alfonseca, this might wrap it up. No, they get just the one at second.
Well, Alfonseca made sure he got just the one. He took his time and made a good throw.
With the big lead, that's the smart player, right?
Exactly. Make sure you get one. He looks at second first, and then he decides he's going to second, but his throw is low, but he made sure. And that's the important thing. You have to get one in that situation.
There has been no memorial service yet scheduled, according to Walt Jocketty. But Darryl Kile's wife, Flynn, wanted to have it in St. Louis, where the Cardinals are heading next, as Marrero singles home Renteria, and it is 8-3 Cubs. Cairo stops at second. We'll give the Cardinals a lot of credit. They played, and how many of them could have had their minds fully focused on this game?
I think the one thing, as you know, professional athletes, they realized that they were going to have to move forward at some point, and they chose to do it today.
And I give them credit for that.
Yes, exactly.
Here is Fernando Vina. There was a moment that I remember from this night before the game when the Cardinals finished their batting practice. The fans who were here at Wrigley Field at that time stood up and applauded them. The visiting team, the enemy here at Wrigley Field. Fernando Vina booted by DeShields, and the inning still goes. Cairo to third, Marrero to second. Vina is safe at first. An error charged to DeShields. Cardinals are just one base runner away from being able to send up the possible tying run of the game. And in fact, as we see the play again.
Well, he went deep on the grass, which meant he was rounding the ball, and he probably should have cut across. He could have gotten it on the in-between hop, but he was backing up, and he took that funny hop. And that was what made it a very difficult play.
If Drew gets aboard, Albert Pujols would be the possible tying run. But Drew hits one. A nice hop for DeShields, and the game is now over. The Cubs have won at 8-3 over the Cardinals. Kerry Wood with the win. Simontachi takes the loss. And again, our prayers, our thoughts to the Darryl Kile family and to all of the St. Louis Cardinals as they head now back to St. Louis, minus their star right-hander. John Miller for Joe Morgan. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for SportsCenter. Good night from Chicago.